Today on Locked On Canadiens, Sam Montembeault is finally about to do something Carey Price has already done. He's on his way to Laval for a conditioning stint.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast doing that supports us here on the show and ensures you do not miss an episode. Of course, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, a network that you have made the number one sports podcasting network. I do love saying that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as @Maybe It's Ian, and I'm joined as I always am by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. Laura, with all due respect to who played for the Canadiens and the Flyers on Tuesday night, the story of the day is not that game, which is why we're not starting with the game on a game recap show. We're starting with Sam Montembeault being set on a conditioning stint with the Laval Rocket. When you saw that come across your phone, Laura, what was your first thought?
Okay, well, I'll be really honest. I just saw Monty to the Rocket, and I was like, what, did they put him on waivers? It's way past noon, guys. Like, what's going on? And so I didn't realize it was a conditioning stint until it was clarified for me, and I calmed down a little bit. I think, out of all of the things we thought that they could do with Sam, this was not on our bingo card.
No, this was out of left field. So we'll start there. We'll talk about that conditioning stint, what it means for the Canadiens and for Montembeault, and when we can expect this stint to be over. We'll then talk about the Flyers game where the Canadiens were effectively just shut down the entire night by the very defensively minded Flyers. And then we have another entry into the Phil Danault file here for the Montreal Canadiens, as it appears that he has requested a trade, and Montreal is a team he would welcome a return to. So we'll finish off with that Phil Danault conversation. But let's start. Phil Danault. That's very good, man. One of us is locked on right now, and it's not me. Well, I guess we're both technically locked on just by default, but you are the only one who's locked in, I should say. All right, let's talk about Sam Montembeault. So we got a bunch of small little bits of news at once. It was, Sam Montembeault is, Fowler's starting against the Flyers. Okay, not an outlandish pick. Mike Matheson's day-to-day. He won't play. Okay. Sam Montembeault's going to the Rocket. What just happened? A wild day for the Canadiens in that respect. So Sam Montembeault is going to go to the Rocket. He's not going to Laval, though. He is going to Cleveland, which, depending on who you are, is a fate maybe you don't wish on anyone. But he's going to play the Rocket, or he's going to play the Monsters with the Rocket. They have 2 games in Cleveland. And then Marty St. Louis said after the game on Tuesday that Sam Montembeault will rejoin the Canadiens in Pittsburgh on Sunday. So it kind of makes sense. Geographically, those are close locations, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. But you have to wonder which of those games he's going to play. The second Rocket Monster game is on that Saturday afternoon. Are they going to really play Sam in that game and then play him again? I don't think that that's true. I wonder if that's a Dobish game the second Sunday. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Like, what is this a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think I was surprised. I was surprised that it wasn't longer, and I wanted it to be longer. And the reason why is I think Samuel Montembeault, at the end of the day, just needs to get it together. That's all this man needs. He needs to get it together because he's unable to do that. And he doesn't really have any opportunities to do that won't hurt the Montreal Canadiens. So this is a way to do that, is to allow him to get it together without hurting the Montreal Canadiens. And that's why I wonder why it's not 2 weeks long instead of just 2 games.
Yeah, I don't know that he needs the full 2 weeks. I think he's already kind of been on a condition. He's been on a vacation for 2 weeks, right? He hasn't played. He hasn't started a game since a week from Tuesday, or 2 weeks from Tuesday, rather, against the Senators back at the beginning of December. He has that one appearance where he shows up against Tampa and gives up a goal on his first shot and gives up 3. And that was kind of the end of that conversation. I think he just needs to feel the puck hit him in a game that doesn't matter as much as it would if he was playing for the Canadiens. I think that, he's I have a really hard time believing that he is just sapped of his power, that it's over. They need this guy.
Yeah.
The Canadiens, if they have any hopes of being a playoff team and potentially making some noise in the playoffs, it's going to be Sam Montembeault in the net.
Yeah.
I know everyone's like, well, Patrick Waugh was a goalie and Ken Dryden was a rookie goalie, and all these Carey Price was a rookie and a shutout in his guys. It's not happening that way. It's just not. We've seen enough from Dobish to know that, it's going to be tough to rely on him on a nightly basis. I think they could do more to lean on him whenever Sam is back, but I don't know if that's going to be how it works.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Carey Price go back and win the Calder Cup after his rookie debut for the Montreal Canadiens?
I want to say he won the Calder Cup before that happened. I think he won the 2007 Calder Cup and then played in the 2007 season for the Canadiens. So it was right afterwards. But Carey Price did go back down to Hamilton in the middle of his rookie season, and then they traded Cristobal Huet to make room for him.
Yeah.
Right. So like his was not perfectly linear. I just think that they need a veteran presence back there, and Montembeault isn't much of a veteran presence, especially now he's just trying to figure it out. But I think it makes a lot of sense. And what because Sam Montembeault, would have to go on waivers to go to Laval normally, he had to agree to this.
Yeah.
So he is bought into this plan. Because if he was not bought into this plan, then I'd say, what are we doing? The point is to try to make this guy feel better about his game. And if you're sending him somewhere he doesn't want to be, I'm very doubtful that that's going to work.
You're right.
So I think I like it from that aspect the most, is that Sam is recognizing I need to get the feel back to my game. I need to understand how to reclaim the parts of my game that made me successful. And I think it helps with him just feeling the puck, making stops in a game that does not matter as much. Laval Rocket hockey matters. Don't get me wrong. But to Sam Montembeault, it matters far less than this, especially going on the road and playing the Cleveland Monsters in the American Hockey League. Like, it does not have the same pressure ascribed to it.
But let me ask you this. What do you think he's going to be able to get better at in 2 games as opposed to 6 games? Or like 8 games or whatever, however many games. I know Laval Rocket plays like 1 million games a week.
I don't know that it's him getting better at something. I think it's been a long time since he was designated the starter of a hockey game. And he needs to go through the motions of being a starter, preparing like he's going to be the starter, warming up like he's going to be the starter, actually starting the game. And, as far as AHL competition goes, the Laval Rocket are quite good.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a good team in front of him. They're probably going to feel like they have a jolt playing with an NHL goaltender in net. They might play a little bit freer in that game, knowing who's behind them. I don't think it's a matter of he's going to play these 2 games and everything that ailed him is going to be fixed. I think it's just a matter of they need to get him into games again, so that he can fix what he's doing. The problem with what Sam is, and what all goalies deal with, is that you can't really just fix it working with the goalie coach in practice. You have to see actual shots from guys who are actually trying to score, not, the goalie coach standing out there in a tracksuit, putting pucks in a specific location for you to make a specific save in practice.
Yeah.
He needs game reps. Right now, he's doing way more harm than good at the NHL level to the NHL team. So this isn't so much for the Canadiens in the immediate. It's for Sam right now.
Yeah.
This is for him to get this figured out. So I don't think he's going to fix everything in 2 games, but I think just him getting the reps, making the stops, that's going to be very important for the long-term outlook of this team.
So then he comes back. He rejoins the team in Pittsburgh on Sunday. We're assuming that's probably going to be a Dobish game if Samuel Montembeault plays Saturday night. Then you put him in against Boston on Tuesday?
That's the part of it that I really struggle with, because I think starting him, that is a road game in Boston, correct? That's not a home game.
Correct.
I think, you know what? I actually think if it was a home game, it would be worse. I feel like putting him out on the road is the better option at this point.
Yeah.
because one puck goes in on him at the Bell Center, and that building is going to get nervous fast.
Yeah.
In Boston, like at least the energy will be there in the building. Like there's nobody, it's a far different environment for a goalie to be doing this sort of thing on the road. I guess I would have you. They're setting this up for that, right? They're setting this up so that Dobish plays Chicago, Fowler plays Pittsburgh at home on Saturday, Dobish gets Pittsburgh on the road on Sunday, and Montembeault comes back in on Tuesday against Boston and tries to reclaim himself against a very good Boston Bruins team.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy for these guys. Any last thoughts on Montembeault, the Laval Rocket, before we move on?
No, I think I've said my piece, and I know we're not going to agree on this. I just hope you're right. I just hope this is the start of an upward trajectory, and he comes back in January and he's like world beating.
Don't get me wrong, this could fail. I just think I understand what they're trying to do here. I get that. I see the vision, right? I understand what they're trying to do. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll finally talk about that Flyers game. A game that I know a lot of Canadiens fans are upset with the Canadiens effort, but I'm here to tell you there was another team on the ice in that game, and we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. The holidays are amazing, but they can also get really overwhelming fast. Travel, gifts, parties, year-end expenses. It's really easy to lose track of your money this time of year. And that's exactly why Monarch has become such a game changer for me. If you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch, rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. The holiday spending category can become a lifesaver. I know for me, it's always those small gifts, the stocking stuffers that really add up when you're tallying together your holiday budget. But with Monarch, you can see exactly what's left in your gift and travel budget in real time. In minutes, you can check your net worth, link all your accounts, and keep track of contributions before deadlines. And it's great for couples. Shared dashboards, shared goals, and fewer, wait, how much did we spend sorts of conversations. That's a game changer for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right. Welcome back. Thank you for making Locked On Canadiens your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Canadiens with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right. Laura, we have a game to talk about, as much as maybe we wouldn't want to do that. Montreal falls 4-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers on Tuesday evening. We set this week up as they need to pick up a bunch of points week, and they start off with not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And if following along with how fans were viewing this game, you could tell fans were frustrated. I think the Canadiens were frustrated with how the game went. But correct me if you think a different way about this, I'd love to hear it. But I really think this game was more that the Flyers walked in there with a game plan saying they're not going to be allowed to forecheck, and we're going to be opportunistic and wait for them to turn the puck over. A very smart gambit against this Montreal Canadiens team. And the Canadiens just didn't have an answer until the third period.
I agree with you there. I also think the goaltending was really good on Philadelphia.
Yeah, Vladar was great.
Yeah, but I would say it's partially that, because if you look at a lot of the shots that the Canadiens were able to get to him, they weren't high danger chances, right? They weren't high danger shots. They were slight deflections. They went a little bit wide. So I feel like the Philadelphia Flyers execution of a game plan really is correct in this sense. So we're back to agreeing, obviously. And I think that the Montreal Canadiens just weren't able to outgame the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know where that came from, guys. I have no idea.
Yeah, I agree. You look at the numbers from the game, and natural stat trick gives the Canadiens the edge in a lot of totals, but it was mostly an even game up until the third period, where the Canadiens really poured it on to try to tie the game up. The scoring chances in the third were 10-2 at even strength, 5-0 for the Canadiens at high danger at even strength. So I mean, it was it was pretty even until that point. And then the Canadiens, when we say the term score effects, for those who might not be aware of the term when it comes to like, analytics and things like that, it means you're down by a bunch, you're going to try to score. Yeah. And conversely, you're up by a bunch, you're going to not push as hard because, that's going to involve potentially turning the puck over and going back the other way. So, these are all just things that happen over the course of a hockey game. There were two real bright spots for me. One, Ivan Demidov, I thought
noted goon
Ivan Demidov. By the way, the Flyers, the Demidov play, Ristolainen crushes Slafkovsky with an open ice hit. I have no problem with that hit. I also have no problem with Demidov skating up to him and going, "Hey, don't do that," and giving him a little tap. Gives him a little cross check, and you would have thought that there was a sniper in the building. The way that Ristolainen he went Star Fox 64 and did a barrel roll, dude. Like, it was not. I don't understand how anyone looked at that and went, "Yes, that man, he did that completely on accident. That wasn't supposed to happen." And then Nick Seeler late in the game grabs Brendan Gallagher's stick and pushes it into his own face to draw a penalty, causing Brendan Gallagher to have a full-blown meltdown, which was, I mean, in retrospect, kind of warranted, but also chill out. Like, it's not every time this happens to him, he acts like it's the first time, and it drives me nuts.
But he knew that was going to happen. That's why he did it.
For sure. And this is the argument that I came to after watching those two plays. Actually, just watching the first one against Ristolainen. Arbor Xhekaj better start diving.
Yeah.
Because he's allowed, he can throw a big check, and if somebody comes back and touches him, just fold. Because you're going to get the call. The league has proven time and time again that if you lay a big hit and somebody comes after you, if you fall down, you will draw a penalty. That's the bottom line. And I know people are going, "Oh, it's classless to do that." If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I'm seeing a lot of people cheating and trying. Like, do it. It works. Ask the Ottawa Senators for the last 3 years. Ask Tim Stützle how that's gone. It's gone pretty well.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I think Arbor Xhekaj does need to practice that. Like those memes of like European soccer teams practicing for the World Cup, and it's all like the ref blows the coach blows the whistle, and they all fall down and clutch their legs. Like, I feel like Marty needs to have some of that.
I just, I think a lot of this stuff comes off as like, "Oh, that's a wily veteran play by this guy." Well, it's a flop. He dove. Like, it's fine. Don't act like it's anything other than that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked seeing that from Ivan Demidov. I liked Demidov's game for the most part. He did have a turnover that led to one of the Flyers' goals, but generally he was engaged. He was trying to flip the game breaker button switch in a game that desperately needed it. So I appreciated that effort from him. And the other, Alex Texier, man. I love eating crow with this player. I was so wrong about the kind of player that this guy is, to the point where I'm sort of like, I want to see him with Suzuki and Caulfield.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's, I'm sick of Zach Bolduc, or I like this other player, or both, because I think it's both.
I think it's both.
What is it about Texier's game that you think fits so well with not only that line, which he hasn't even gotten a chance to play with, but the Canadiens in general? Like, what has he added that's been really needed?
I think he's smarter at hockey than we thought, given the position he plays, right? Or given where in the lineup he usually is. I feel like he sees the game in a way that maybe we did not expect. And that's where his skill is, which is fine. Like, the Canadiens are full of guys like that, right? Sure. And I really liked that aspect of the game. Obviously he scored a goal, the lone goal. And
he's got a great shot.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this on the last show some point recently. I'm getting Armia vibes from him. Obviously, he's not going to play like defensively and penalty kill like Armia, but just the way he slows the game down.
Yeah.
He uses his frame to protect the puck a lot down low. He's got great hands. He's got a great shot. Like, I really see that fit. But I also think the one thing that he can do that Bolduc has not really proven to be able to do is play at a lower speed to allow Suzuki and Caulfield to find places to get open.
Yeah.
So with that, that's sort of what I would like to see more from whoever plays with Suzuki and Caulfield, and that's why I think Texier fits that bill.
Yeah, and that's not to say that Bolduc never will. I do want to say something about Fowler, though, before we move on.
Yeah, go for it.
You were saying about how Ivan Demidov was engaged in trying to change the course of that game, but then ultimately had this costly turnover. I think you can say the exact same thing about Jacob Fowler. I thought he was perfectly I didn't think he was incredible, but I thought he was perfectly good, right? And he was engaged, right? He was paying attention, he was engaged, he was trying. It's just that he ended up with a costly turnover as well.
Yeah, and that was an interesting play because I know a lot of people immediately blamed the defense for not talking to him, but you listen to it back and you can hear someone talking to Fowler. You can hear someone saying something. You can't tell what it was. And then what gave it away for me was Hudson's reaction. He kind of like put his body language he's not good at hiding things. He's a terrible poker player, Lane Hudson. But he kind of put his hands up, like his palms were facing the sky. Like somebody said something and the goalie didn't listen.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's his third NHL game. Like that's
and he owned it.
Yeah. He owned it in the post game. He said, we're all trying to do our job. I need to be better.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that this level of accountability from a kid like that.
Yeah. And he was like, it's not something that happens often. Like, it's not something I do often. And I'll learn from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Any last thoughts on this one before we move on?
I think we shouldn't be as hard on the Montreal Canadiens as we have been.
No, I think this was more a game of the Flyers coming in, being the road team, executing their road game plan to perfection. I really think, looking back on it, and that's not to let the Canadiens off the hook. You should be able to play through that. I thought the Canadiens didn't adjust well to whatever the Flyers were putting out there.
Yeah.
But the Flyers executed their plan. You have to, you do have to hand it to them at some point.
So the one last thing I will say is the Montreal Canadiens should be the ones to do that too. They should learn from the Philadelphia Flyers on that point.
Well, I mean, they just did it against Edmonton.
Yeah.
They had a game plan. If the game plan was just Mike Matheson, I think we might be in a lot of trouble considering he didn't play in this game right after we said they'd be cooked without him. We were kind of right. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, the Phil Danault file, or the file Danault, as Laura said earlier, is reopened. We're talking about a potential trade to Montreal, given that it seems like he might have requested a trade. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, you're in on the action. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Take you back to last Sunday. The Bills are down by 21 against the New England Patriots, and they start to come back. That's the moment where the live spreads and the money lines start to adjust as the game is going. The player props update as guys get hotter. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, we are back, and it's time to reopen the file Danault, as Laura said. This comes to us from Marco D'Amico, who says, sources indicate that Phil Danault has asked for a trade in Los Angeles. His camp hopes a deal gets done sooner than later, prior to the trade freeze. Kings are willing to wait it out, looking for a player-for-player trade. Montreal, New Jersey, and Carolina are some of the teams to have kicked tires there. Another, I believe it was Anthony Martineau, who added that Phil Danault would be happy to come back to Montreal. So he has a no trade clause that's partial. So Montreal probably is either A, isn't on it, or B, is on it, and he would come back. What I want to point to, though, Laura, is a post from one Alan Walsh, who's not one for Celty, like that about Alan. He quoted Marco D'Amico's post on Twitter and said, "You never bothered to check with me. Shameful attention-seeking reporting." And I want to go to what one Laura Saba wrote in our group chat once we saw that. Laura, what did you say when you read that post?
I said, note that Walsh did not deny any of it.
He didn't deny a lick of it. And I was like, that would have, I'm such like I love the drama.
Yeah.
That I was just like, ooh, I was all up in that drama. I did you're like, this is work. We have to do our job here. And the job, you did the right thing, which was immediately reading through this and go, if I was an agent and somebody was saying this, regardless of whether or not it was true, I probably would have said it's not true. But he didn't do that.
Yeah. He did the exact same thing that Crosby's agent did before the season started. which was stoke some flames.
Yeah. I think Alan is trying to deflect a little bit away from a client of his that has, for what it's worth, absolutely asked for a trade out of Los Angeles. I think we can say that, given the response to the reporting.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to get out in front of that. This is not uncommon for Alan Walsh. He likes to take a lot of the heat so his players don't have to.
That's why they pay him the big bucks.
That's why they pay him.
Yeah.
And I think quite honestly, and I don't know this guy. I know of his personality, the show that he has. I think he's more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
I think he loves being this guy for his clients. But I want to key in on one part of this from Marco. He said that the Kings are looking for player for player trade.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for somebody that will help them now. Are the Canadiens a match then? Because I don't know who you're trading and adding Phil Danault and saying this roster's better.
I don't know who LA wants.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what LA needs.
This was right before Montembeault ended up going down to Laval on his conditioning stint, and my immediate thought was, well, do they want Montembeault as a backup to Kemper? Because they'll also have to make the salaries work. Phil Danault makes $5.5 million this year and next. The Kings are not going to want to retain on any of that.
Yeah. And then they can't after the freeze.
Yeah. It's basically like, the meme that's, Ryder Halak in a second.
Yeah.
Eller Tenorti in a second.
Yeah.
Except it's just Struble, and a Struble. Like, those are the only things I can think the Canadiens would be interesting in moving right now.
Oh, come on. There's a second rounder in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. They'll throw a pick in for sure. They'll throw a pick to get to get this done 1,000%. I just think the Kings wouldn't really be interested in a pick at this point in whatever they're doing.
I think the problem is the other teams who are interested might have more to give the Kings. That's more the problem.
Yeah, the Devils are looking to upgrade at center. We know that that's true. The Hurricanes for me are an underrated. They put this team in every trade rumor so that it gets traction, because I don't even know if that works. But the Carolina Hurricanes can't possibly be interested in every player on the trade market, but they always, every single time a player is available, Carolina's like, ooh, we're in on that. Yeah, we're talking about that guy too. We're never going to get any of these players. We got Mikko Rantanen for a couple weeks and we had to bail because it was a bad idea. But like, we're in on everybody until we're not. Do you think if this is a player for player trade that the Canadiens can make this happen?
Yes. I just don't know that we'll love the return.
Well, so the return outside of Danault, or just Danault being the only return and who the Canadiens would have to give up?
No, I mean, I don't think we're going to love who the Canadiens will give up. I think that's a little bit of an issue because there's some surplus there, but I wonder if it could be somebody who's like actually in the minors right now who could play in the NHL, but there's no room for him.
Yeah. I don't think the Canadiens should trade anybody who's got a long-term future on this team, which is why I lean Struble.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that, I mean, even Struble has to see that there is a path blocked for him being an everyday NHLer, and his name is Arber Xhekaj.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Canadiens rightfully keep looking for opportunities to put Xhekaj in over Struble, it should show to the player like, hey, maybe this isn't a long-term fit here.
Yeah.
I think he makes $1.4 million, Jaden Struble, on his current contract this year and next year. I'm sort of with you. Like, I think if this is player for player, I find it hard to believe that the Canadiens have what it takes to make this happen. Unless like you can convince Josh Anderson to go, and even then, are you a better team having gotten rid of that player? Josh Anderson is a flawed hockey player. Don't get me wrong. That's not a complete player, but he has an element to him that is very difficult to replace.
And Danault can't do that.
Danault cannot play that way. There's not a lot of guys in this league who can play like Josh Anderson does at 6'4".
Yeah.
Right. Like that is a player that if they get rid of, they will be searching for a way to replace very quickly.
Yes. I agree.
Unless they decide like Florian Xhekaj can be that guy now. But I think if they would do that, why is Owen Beck up here not playing in the third period? You know what I mean? Like, there's
not playing in the third. He played fine in the first.
Yeah, and then he just, I think Marty saw his spot and said, "We're gonna put other guys out there." Like Texier was taking spots in that line. Demidov got a shift or two on that in that spot. So like I unless there's something here to be built around Jaden Struble, if there is a deal between LA and Montreal for Phil Danault, I don't think it involves many NHL players.
Yeah, I think they'll have to throw in some sweeteners though.
Yeah, and at that point, are the Devils going to be able to put together a better offer and trade an NHL defenseman that's better than Jaden Struble? Yeah. Right? Like, are they? I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. This wasn't a rumor roundup, so there's no yeehaws. That's why there's no hat. We already did a Phil Danault rumor roundup. I feel like that's enough.
We talked a lot about Phil Danault the last couple of weeks. It's gonna be really funny if he ends up going to Carolina.
Yeah, I don't wish that on it. I think he wants to play in Montreal again. I think it's the right thing for him at this point in his career. He got to go out LA, make his money. He's still going to make that money. Like there's no complaints there. I think he wants to come home. All right, let's leave that there and let's hit our trivia and then head out of here. Yesterday's question: Paul Coffey, former Flyer, Blackhawk, and Penguin of note, because Montreal's playing all of those teams this week. Paul Coffey scored 11 times against the Habs on December 8th, 1992. He scored against Montreal while playing for the LA Kings, but there was something special about that goal and that game. What made that game special? Laura, do you know the answer to this one?
It was on a neutral site. It was not in Montreal or in Los Angeles. It was actually in Arizona.
It was at the Memorial Coliseum in Arizona in 1992, which, tracking the timeline, it's very obvious that the NHL was testing if Arizona was fertile ground for the National Hockey League. And they ended up with a team shortly after that. And then they put it in the hands of a guy who shouldn't have had an NHL team. And now they play in Utah. So nobody had that one right. Nobody guessed that one. So I stumped everyone on this one, Laura. That doesn't happen often, but we made it happen today. All right. Today's question. This current Habs scout played for the Montreal Canadiens and all of this week's opponents, the Flyers, Blackhawks, and Penguins, and this laundry list of teams. So I'll give you the full list of teams. Montreal, the Flyers, Blackhawks, Penguins, North Stars, Devils, Lightning, Blues, Predators. So one more time on that because it is long. The Canadiens, the Flyers, the Blackhawks, the Penguins, the North Stars, the Devils, the Lightning, the Blues, and the Predators. This is a current Montreal Canadiens scout who played for all of these teams. If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Let us know any way you know how, and we will give you a shout out on the next episode of the show. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Canadiens. Make sure you subscribe. Follow Locked On Canadiens everywhere so you get all the latest episodes. You can find our show, Locked On Canadiens, everywhere posting things, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. If you need a last-minute holiday gift or someone keeps asking you what they want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure your second listen is NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow.